Hello and welcome. This is part two of our Shadowdark Times Undreamed of, uh, potentially named Night of the Red Masks or the Red Masks or something else, as we find our protagonists here hired to explore the lost thieves' den that used to belong to the self-entitled Red Masks. The most prominent thieves guild throughout Ib-Ihor. They have currently descended down, as you are aware, and now are faced with a rug of riddles. The first riddle is if 11 plus 2 equals 1, what does 9 plus 5 equal? The
Two.
second, sorry, what does, yeah, 9 plus 5 equal? I mean, are you just shouting two out? Are you giving me that as your answer? Where are you standing? What are you doing? Or was that just a slip of the tongue?
No, that's what I think is the answer. And
Okay,
what I'll be doing is on having my great sword on the tip of the rock and just trying to look underneath the rock.
okay. So you don't say two, you just trying to lift the rug up with your great sword, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can do that as you lift the rug up. The rug moves, no problem at all, and it's clean underneath the rug. You know, as if the rug has been stationary for a very long time and hasn't moved, and then there's all the dust and the webbing that has formed around it. Um, from what you can see from lifting the edge of the rug up, there's nothing underneath it other than the marbled floor. But is there anything else you would like to do?
No, I'd let the rock drop back to the floor and stand up again.
Okay. So it seems you've formulated at least a potential answer to the first, the outer circle. The middle circle says, what is it that given one, you have either two or none? The final says, you cannot keep me until you have given me. What am I? So you can discuss this. I'm more than happy for you to discuss it out of character as well as in character. Before you sort of let me know what you're going to do with your decisions, basically.
Do you think we have to stand on the right ring of the rug, as it were, as we vocally tone our answer to the room?
Possibly.
Thorsten's more than happy to try it for the first one.
How spaced out? And the circles are within each other, yes?
Yeah.
How big are they? Is the outer circle as the biggest, as in as big as the rug?
Yeah. The outer circle runs around the
The edge of the rug,
the edge of
effectively.
the rug. Then there's the inner circle. Then there's a sort of larger area in the middle.
Okay.
Do the circles have only the words in them, or are there also series of numbers in them?
No, there's only the words. Only the words.
Are there any numbers on the rest of the rug?
Doesn't seem to be.
We've just had a clockwork experience. The first number puzzle, 11 plus 2 equals 1, could be a reference to 13 also being known as 1 in the afternoon. Now, I don't know in the DM's world whether the 24-hour clock exists or not, or is in general use in Ihor.
Absolutely, you would know that. It makes sense. So yeah.
Therefore, Thorsten is quite comfortable to stand upon the words of the outer ring and speak out loud to the room 2, the number 2.
Okay, so you do that. No takesy backsies, as there is a grinding of stone, and the wall seems to begin to move, sort of slowly, as you look at your only exit as it begins to disappear. You are now fully enclosed in this chamber with no exits, but the wall does not stop moving as it rotates around from what would have been the east to the north, and you begin to see a small chamber opening in front of you as the aperture that let you in now stands to the north. And there is a small chamber no more than 10 foot by 10 foot, again full of cobwebs and dust. There is, though, a number of rails running round the wall on which are hanging some moth-eaten, threadbare robes, all of the same design, sort of greyish white in colour. The wall then stops rotating.
I will move over and inspect the room.
Yeah.
Guys, don't say anything near the rug, okay?
I was waiting for Thorsten to go, but of course.
Would follow over and provide light.
Okay. So
I carefully inspect the room.
So not a lot really. The wood is still in good order, as I say, with the flagstones being marble here. It seems to have held back much of the dampness. The robes are again covered in age. As you begin to thoroughly examine, all the robes are the same design but are built for different sizes of individuals. They are cowled, they have hoods upon them. They're made of quite a nice, thick linen cloth. And in one of them, there's something, and you sort of look in, and there's a stone, and as you look at it more, it's quite a nice little green stone. Maybe someone has just forgotten it. You're not entirely certain that it has any kind of real use, but it is pretty and probably worth maybe even up to 10 gold.
Nice.
I grab a rope for each of us of our respective size.
Yeah, shake off the dub, and nothing really triggers when you take the robes off. Do you also take the stone?
Yeah, I take the stone too.
Okay, so each of these robes will count as a gear slot, unless you're wearing them, and you can wear them over your clothes that you've got on, so you don't have to get changed. So you can carry these out and present them, but if it's an ongoing thing and you want to put them in your pack, they will take up a space. If you want to put them on, you can ignore them, other than the fact that you are enrobed. Beyond that, though, sort of banging on the flagstone walls and everything else, doesn't seem to be any sort of secret doors or anything else.
Now we're all here. I think I might have solved the second riddle.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the number 1. If you're given 1, you have either 2 or none. So 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 minus 1 is none. What do you guys think? I'm not really smart, but just seemed the way to go to me.
I guess my only thought is if you're given one and you don't have something, you have one.
Mm.
Yeah, true. Then you have minus 1.
Sorry.
Yeah, I can't really have a negative 1 count of apples. It doesn't work for physical objects.
Yeah.
It's a grand piece of theory that maths in India, if I remember rightly, came up with. But were there any matching masks for said robes? I'd like to return a mask to Vegeta.
There is no mask, just robes in there, which is strange, really, considering this is the red masks and there are no they're just robes.
Well, do we anticipate that whatever is in number 2, as in room 2, riddle 2, you might get masks, and then in the third one, that's where you get the loot? I guess the question is, if we think we know riddle number 3, but we don't know riddle number 2, do we try riddle number 3 and hope that we can just skip? Or does that mean it runs out of sequence and the world explodes?
So you want to try and stand on the inner circle and say the word that we think it is?
Well, that's my question, is do we do that and see what happens?
Or do we ask our benevolent GM, or his player base are failing his riddle? Would you like us to articulate our character's understanding of the world, and perhaps they know the answer?
It is definitely something that you can make a roll with, as I kind of said off camera. Riddles are one of these things that can be very frustrating to players when they go, wait there, my character's like genius level. My character should be able to work something out like this. And that is a very valid point of view. So
does it make sense for me to attempt the roll to see if Drago can glean anything that Beamsy hasn't worked out?
Yes, please.
If that's okay.
Okay, so give us a roll, please.
So, would this be wisdom or intelligence?
This is going to be intelligence. It's knowing stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
I rolled negative.
Okay.
I took 2 off that, so I've done that wrong. So we can either, so I rolled a 3 and it took 2 off, and it was supposed to add 2 to it. So it's either I re-roll it, or it's a what if we count that and we just correct the multiply, it's a 5.
Okay, so you very well know it's not a 5, and a little bit of GMing thing here. Had you rolled a 1, I would have gave you the wrong answer and enforced that you use it. So there is dangers to even making rolls. We didn't really establish luck points at the start of the game. This is this isn't pulp, is it? It's straight.
No.
Yeah.
Straight.
Yeah, we only have one each, I
so
think.
you will all start the game with 1 luck point at the start of every game. So you do have a luck point each, just so you are aware.
Would happily burn 1 for an answer.
Wow, you are up in the game. But I happily accept that.
Yeah.
I happily accept it, as Drago is struggling, kind of trying to concentrate, coming up with all of these ideas. And to be honest, there are so many, because he's so clever, that kind of could work.
It might be Aardvark.
Yes.
Could be antediluvian.
When you burn your thing, what is it that you are given 1? You'll have either 2 or none. It's a little esoteric, and just because the first riddle was about numbers doesn't mean the second needs to be. And the only thing that you can see that fits with that, well, is a choice.
Yeah, some choices are so obvious that it's not actually a choice.
Yeah.
Do this or get shot in the head. And sometimes it gives you 2 genuine options.
Nice.
Having been struck with something akin to divine intervention, Austin would never have naturally got there. Says to the group quietly, whilst not stood on the rug, I think I've got it.
Perfect.
Then
Right.
go for it.
And
then
yeah, go on, please.
stands on the second ring of the rug and says out loud the word choice, which is actually really good for joining an organisation as well. I like that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I was trying to hint that they have perhaps reference to some things, but riddles are riddles, and you say it, and there is the grinding of stone again, and it carries on its journey. The northern chamber, you lose sight of it as it rotates round and finally comes to rest in the west. Again, no, just a small alcove, really. 10 foot by 10 foot, if that. This time, though, racks along the walls, and upon the racks are a number of unused red masks.
I go over and inspect again.
Yep, you thoroughly search. This time, no extra little bits of treasure, certainly no secret doors, but masks. And it's kind of interesting. The only real common theme, they full face masks, they're all red, but they are of different designs and the like. They're not sort of just all blank or all uniform. They have different designs, and you initially think, well, wait there. If someone constantly uses the same mask, they will perhaps know who they are. But of course, what happens if they swap the mask with someone else? Suddenly you think that you're talking to someone. Actually having an identifiable mask that you're not using adds to the deception and the confusion. So it's up to you. That is what you see. That is what you find, Roger. What would you like to do?
Pick 3 random masks.
Okay. You take 3 random masks. And again, these will take up a gear slot, but if you wear them, there is no cost involved to it.
Wouldn't it be so cool to come out of the complex in robes, in masks, and present ourselves to Vigita, the granddaughter of the head thereof?
Nice.
So yeah, a little bit of ostentatious, perhaps, but Thorsten is wearing both.
Okay.
Yeah, so is Roger, just to save gear slots.
Yes, likewise.
Okay. From now on, we're just going to wear everything that we find.
Yeah.
You start.
Yeah, they don't wait you when you get on a plane. You can carry as much clothes with you as you want.
Absolutely.
Is the treasure chest wearable?
We've invented a new thing for Shadowdark. Okay, so that done, well done. And just as a GMing thing, I want you, the players, to solve the things, and I'm more than happy. I don't feel like it's fudging or moving things along. You used a resource up to get an answer and to further the plot, and for me, that is a win for all of us. Okay, so now you kind of know where you are with it and what perhaps lies to the south.
Are you guys sure about the answer for number 3? Because then I will go stand in the middle circle and say it.
I think so.
Yeah, I go stand in the middle circle and say secret.
So let me think about this. You cannot keep me until you have given me. What am I? So you're saying to me that you can't keep a secret unless you've told somebody?
Hold on.
Is that what you're telling me? Because that doesn't sound right to me. I can certainly keep a secret without giving it away.
I told you guys.
Then I will walk into the centre.
Right there, I think Roger has done it. Is my understanding?
Have we both had the same thought there, Beamsy?
I think so. Well, I've just had another thought, but
There is a flash of light from the mask as Roger stands there, looks up. Are you sure? Are you sure? Okay. Secret. The eyes light up and a bolt of red flame gouts down, consuming Roger. It is not instant death, but the flame burns you. Let me just see how much damage you take.
nuts.
Shrieking. Wild dancing.
5 points of damage as flame flows over you. How many hit points did you have?
7.
7. Okay, so it is horrible burning and scorching, but you are, well, still alive.
I instinctively throw myself on the floor and start rolling and rolling and rolling.
I will dash directly over and lay hand on shoulder and try and cast Cure Wounds.
Yes, okay. This is a skill check.
All the while going, I'm really sorry. I now know what the answer is, I think, but I'm going to say it, not you, just in case.
No. The half-orc priest with Cure Wounds does not put themselves at risk.
Okay.
I will.
Oh, Jesus. That is a
11.
10.
Yeah, that is not an 11. You do have luck points, and luck points are tradable.
Yeah, I'm going to have to use a luck point, see if I can.
You can use mine since you're saving my life or whatever.
I'm happy to do whichever you wish. But
I think at this point we know that you're all a close crew, and the luck point comes out whenever you need it. So it's almost, we should almost have a pool of luck points rather than individual ones. But a luck point gets used. You have as a group 1 luck point left.
Okay, and I will roll again.
Indeed.
Come on. Oh, Jesus.
Yes. I mean, I know you keep calling yourself a priest, Drago, but I don't think you've ever successfully cast a spell.
No, I haven't.
Roger's been hurt twice in 2 different adventures, and neither time could you heal him.
So, yeah.
But both times I tried.
Yeah.
Give me that.
I mean, Roger is not dying. That's a positive. You have used a luck point to try and reroll. You only have a single luck point left.
Funsies.
What would you like to do? I mean, as I say,
Want to try again?
We're not in a life and death situation, but you do have the option of trying one last time. On a different note, because you failed, you can't cast it again until you have a long rest. But if you succeed, you can do, or at least attempt to. So decisions to be made.
So you either burn it now, or we know we can't cast Cure Wounds.
Well, if I can't cast Cure Wounds, then I'm no use as a healer. So I might as well try.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't work, then at least I get my just desserts.
Yes.
So I will walk to the center of the room, or to the center of the rug, rather. And then I will.
would imagine that we're talking about burning the luck point for a second re-roll of the wound.
Yeah.
Oh, if we want to do that, then yes, I'm happy to do that.
Because that means you'll have succeeded in casting it, I hope.
Well, then that's, as long as we're happy to do that.
I can attempt, we'll then have a off-the-rug conversation, and I'd be more than happy to attempt the third segment. And I know that feels a bit greedy, but
No, this is fine. So
No,
it sounds
if
very
that's what we
much
want
like
to do.
they are asking for a second reroll, which is
Right.
absolutely fine.
Okay.
yeah.
There we go.
That's better.
Yep. So
Whew.
you
Okay.
retain the use
Well,
of
you're
cure wounds.
you're 1 point on cure wounds.
Yeah. But the great thing about Shadowdark is you can cast it again straight away. Just keep casting it to keep curing. You know, it's good. More times that you roll.
So number of d6 is equal to 1 plus half your level rounded down. So 1d6, and that's how many points you get.
Yeah.
So you get please be 6, please be 6, please be 6.
4.
4 points back,
Not too bad.
which isn't the end of the world.
Very nice.
So you're back. Are you up at 6 now?
Yeah, I'm up at 6.
Cool. Okay. So that's not terrible.
And Roger stumbles back to his feet in cuffs, and black smoke comes out of his mouth, and then he rasps and says, "I told you it was respect."
You're going
I
to hate
think it
it, but I
is.
don't think it's that either.
No. So we all move off the rug.
I'm
And
already off the rug. Yeah.
quietly in not a corner, but at the edge of the room.
Yeah.
I think it's word or my word.
My word, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, just word. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy to try, or if you want to try and then
I will not let you try, good sir.
very well.
I think I'm the only one with enough hit points to, take the damage. So I'm
I would understand.
very reluctantly walk to the
No.
middle.
Well, I'm in the same hit point situation that you're in. Roger, I'm as tough as you are from that perspective. So we can
Yeah,
both
but you're the one doing the healing, so I
so successfully so far.
I push you off the rock. I stand in the middle circle and say, "Word."
Okay, and it seems word is correct. There's the grinding of stone, and it carries on rotating around, eventually coming to rest in the south. But no alcove, another passageway leading onward.
With greatsword ready, I look at the other two and just make a head nod towards the passage and move on again.
Perfect.
Yeah. And torch behind, lighting the way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very nice. You sort of leave this circular chamber, and what you notice straight away, without even potentially looking, is set in the side of the wall as you exit the chamber is a lever. Quite possibly a way of gaining entrance to this, or manipulating it around, or whatever. I don't know whether you want to spend time with it now, but you see sort of as immediately as you leave this circular chamber a lever on the wall.
That's a thought. Before we go too far, there's 3 rings on that rug and 3 doors. Looking at that lever just quickly, does that feel like that's how you get back to the entrance?
I mean, you are looking at a lever. I mean, it looks certainly
I'm looking at it really hard,
yeah,
though.
yeah, it's certainly strange here, and you are rapidly coming to the conclusion that this complex is protected by a number of archaic traps and tricks. But it would make sense that this would be a way of sort of entering this chamber or leaving this chamber, perhaps.
Okay. Just, because if we get to 3 of them, what's the word to take us back to the exit?
Yeah.
Anyway,
it might be that we stay in the room, pull the lever, and that sets it to 0 state, as it were.
Yeah. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah.
If we come to it.
Okay, so you venture forth, obviously moving cautiously. You don't have a huge distance to go. There's a small flight of stairs that descends down and ends into a different set of doors this time. Two doors, a set of double doors. Um, this time, though, decorated, carved, and still covered with cobwebs and the like. And simple investigations of dusting away the detritus indicate that there are two faces on these doors, carved masks. Um, the door itself is made of a hard red wood, and the paint of these masks would have been red back 50 or so years ago, but now over time, kind of the way that scabs kind of peel from the flesh, the paint has peeled off too, leaving these mask-like visages kind of with some kind of horrible skin condition. But this is an indication that perhaps what lies beyond is at the main part of this complex, something grander.
Austin more than happy to take a moment to make sure that the door is not trapped. Thinking if we are going beyond the general public area even of the complex to something grander, security might have gone up a notch. As much as word has been given and such.
Yeah, worth investigating before we move.
Yeah, but finding if the door is unlocked and openable without risk does that grand push of a double door.
Yeah, you take your time. You are skilled in such things. You don't notice any sort of traps or the like, and they are not locked. And you do indeed push the doors open, and the torchlight sort of spills in behind you. There is a large central rug that moves from the door down this very long hall. Perhaps your light doesn't even catch the end of the hall, it's so vast. Wide as well, and you see that there are beautiful, if not cobwebbed and dusty drapes, threadbare now, eroded over time, that hanging from the walls on either side. And just off this central rug, your torch goes out again, plunging you into darkness.
I like my second one.
Okay, no
And make
worries.
sure you get one of mine in replacement.
Cool. Okay, yeah.
So I strike off the torch.
Either side of this, there are many tables, kind of almost fest hall kind of tables that sort of processionally go down towards the far end of the room. This would have been a magnificent sight. I mean, compared to the horrible hole that you were drinking filthy stale ale and wine from, this would have been luxury deep below the wet. Alas, there are other signs here, though. The place is littered with all of the telltale signs of a brutal battle. Tables broken, bodies scattered around, a number of hideous things once again finally brought down. There is the smell of death here.
Are the hideous things, are they similar huge alien, or not alien, but like otherworldly monstrous creatures.
Otherworldly monstrous creatures. They are similar but not the same. Each
Yeah.
of these undescribable things are different in their own way, or perhaps your mind is just breaking as you're trying to work out exactly what they look like.
So basically, they've all been summoned, just like the one we found in the second guard room.
That would make sense, I guess. Because they're too big to fit through certainly some of the corridors and things that we've been walking through.
It's just the nature of them. They are otherworldly, and certainly they would not have been invited down here.
Are they? And they're definitely dead.
I don't know. Are you going to? You kind of saw one in the other chamber and skirted past it without disturbing it in the slightest.
Kind of want to poke it.
No.
Okay.
As we do our best to not disturb the
I should
remnant of
say
damage.
at this moment, within this hall, many of the humanoids that have been slaughtered here, they have ragged robes, cracked masks. They most definitely, the humanoid side was that of the red masks. 50 years on, things are tattered. Signs of the battle and the slaughter. There is obviously battle damage, but just so you're aware of that as well.
Okay. I
Sorry,
wonder if
Thorsten, you had a train of thought that I interrupted.
It was only that if there might be an opportunity to search the human corpses and any remnants of the grand tables we describe for valuables. At this point, we have reached the potentially richest, or at least richer, part of the complex. We were allowed to fill our own pockets, as they were.
Yeah. I would say whilst Thorsten is starting to do that, I would also try and see if there's any obvious signs of somebody who might be a leader. I realize with these kind of all incognito making masks, that might not be a feasible thing, but is there like a head table and somebody near a seat of office or something,
All of
potentially?
this involves you entering the chamber, and so entering the chamber you do, and your torchlight is brought with you and begins to reveal the back of the chamber as well. A number of things happen here at the same time. First and foremost, Drago, as your torchlight reaches the far end of the chamber, you can see there was what would have been considered a high table there, perhaps. But beyond that high table, almost filling the entirety of the back wall, is a monstrously sized organ, smashed to pieces.
Like a pipe organ?
Yes, sorry. My descriptions there perhaps scared you for a moment.
So we've
The
been
liver.
talking about monstrosities and stuff, so yeah.
I mean, maybe I did that deliberately, as you wondered what horrors were attached to this wall. But no, that is the fun of Shadowdark, as you have scared yourself with your own imaginations there. Those words were deliberately chosen, but it is a pipe organ. No doubt some kind of massive clockwork device. Once again, you know that they had someone or a number of people that were skilled in such engineerings. But yes, you see these large pipes and a large keyboard, and it's huge. It's designed for a medium-sized humanoid creature to play, but it is vast, and you kind of wonder what would the acoustics be like in this grand hall. what revelries perhaps took place here. But it is broken. That is what you see. You haven't had a chance to investigate it. At that same time, though, as Thorsten is kind of searching for these, you find some coins. It seems these people haven't been stripped of their riches. We'll come on to quantities in a minute. But as you move from one skeletal figure to another, 50 years have passed. Oh, that's it, isn't it? As you are looking at one of these corpses, 50 years has passed. This corpse that you are searching, well, it still has flesh upon it. And at that point, its head snaps into place as it begins to rise. So do several others.
Roger's been waiting for this with his great sword, so he leaps into action.
Okay, well, this is interesting. This is interesting. And we're going to ask for initiatives because it's very important of the order that all of this takes place.
Is just as we're rolling initiative, do any of the giant, weird, creepy things move, or is it just humans?
No, it's 3 of the humanoids.
Okay.
7.
Something at least. Oof.
Also 7.
Okay. What did you get, Thorsten?
21.
Right. Let me roll this.
I have a thing that might be very, very useful if only it bloody works.
Yeah. You know that's luck point.
Mm-hmm.
How well?
We will see. We will see. As you are very aware, I like my advanced storytelling, so we will see.
Well, we're all wearing robes and masks, though.
That is a very good point.
Is this actually not threatening?
Well, I mean, it's a bit of a shock as this thing.
Yeah, I recoil.
But this is what we're going to roll its initiative for. And yeah, this creature gets +1 to it. So it's a D6 plus. No, it's a D20. D6 +1.
Roll a D6 if you like.
Yeah, no, I'm getting too excited. You fell for my monstrous organ pun. So that is only a 10. So Thorsten, without a doubt, for one moment, and it's totally appropriate to speak out of character, it snaps, but it doesn't snap and turn to bite you. It snaps. And for one moment, through this creature's perhaps thought process, if this creature has thought processes, it just stops and stares at you, seeming to recognize. It's got this face mask on as well, but this face mask is shattered into 2, so there's only half of it, and then there's the horrible, hideous, decaying flesh beneath. The robes are shredded and tattered, and you can see various horrible strips of flesh hanging loose. It's not its initiative, but it doesn't straight away seem to be going to attack you for the moment. Anyway, seeming to maybe even recognize you as a brother or sister.
So Thorsten will obviously recoil in shock, surprised by the motion, if little else. But before drawing a weapon, even would say, "We come in peace. We are friends of the Red Mask. We have had a choice. We have given our word. repeating the words that should have led us here, hoping that this creature still could recognize them.
Okay. Now, you did have the name of the leader that would have
Yes.
been leading them. Did you make a note of that?
Nabatari?
Very nice. Do you say that name?
Feels like I've been given a nudge, but yes, it does feel like
No,
I am in search of. Yeah, we have been given guidance to find what happened to Nabatari and her followers.
Okay, and with that, it just looks at you curious, and this loathsome tongue sort of jags out, but not out of its mouth, but out of the side of its cheek, where there's a gaping hole.
Oh, nice.
It seems to be thinking, trying to think, but no direct aggressive action towards you at this moment in time. We have lost Thorsten, as it has all been too much. I'm sure he'll be back in a minute.
I can still hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you. Your video has gone down, but it's okay. Oh, and you're back. Okay, so it is up to you, Roger with the great sword and Drago with a bonking stick and a sort of severed sword. You see that this interaction has taken place. Do you want to jump into combat, or are you perhaps waiting?
I will definitely hold off when I see that they're not aggressive towards Thorsten.
Okay.
Yet.
So there is this grotesque pantomime that seems to play out as these three restless dead, ghoulish in nature, perhaps consumed with hunger, but holding at bay, not wanting to consume their brothers and sisters. It seems wearing those robes and donning those masks has perhaps vented a very dangerous and bloody confrontation. For now, anyway. We will move out of combat for the moment if you are not pressing it, as they don't seem to look like they're going to attack. And in fact, when Thorsten mentions the name and says that you are searching, one of them, unable to speak, its vocal cords rotted through long ago, kind of gestures to you to follow, as with a horrible and natural skipping gait it moves across the tables towards that once grand organ.
Drago will have hand on Holy Symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Like Holy Symbol in hand, but taking no other action, just being ready for a potential spell if it looks like it's needed.
Okay.
Roger will have his greatsword ready, but no more aggressively than before these skeletons, zombies, things rose up, and follow the rest towards the organ, and definitely keeping an eye out for movement in the big unnatural things as well.
It gets to the organ itself, and it seems to be pointing manically at it, its eyes wide. In fact, as it stretches open its eyes and manics, one of its eyeballs pops out and dangles upon some viscera.
Nice. We'll follow the direction and look and sort of explore the organ to see if there are any signs of individual or remains of individual in and around it.
Another one sort of rapidly leaps up onto the grand table and hisses at you. Its vocal cords not as bad, and it sort of hisses. Key! Key! Organ is key.
Where's Anna Lapwood when you need her? Roger says in reference to a fellow musician and bard.
Okay.
Someone has gone to town, whether it was one of those great beasts or someone else, to smash this organ. It's not beyond some kind of repair, but it is in a terrible state.
Is the keyboard still intact? Or the layers of keyboards?
Partially.
Is there a music sheet on the organ or near the organ?
Papers are scattered around, some of them almost decayed with time. You search through them. You do find one particular sheet of music that seems to be more well used, as it were, really. The ink seems to be, I don't know, perhaps a little more predominant, and you begin to realise that the script upon it is musical. You do like your music, Roger, do you not? You're a minstrel, in fact.
I am a minstrel indeed, so I put that piece of paper up on the board.
I was going to say the writing of the music just seems not to have faded so much with age as everybody else, and it gives you an indication that special inks, valuable inks, esoteric inks were used for this piece of music. If any of the sheets that you've uncovered is going to be helpful, it's probably going to be this one.
Yeah, Roger basically tosses the other ones aside and just puts this very clearly written one on the board. Pulls up the old, sitting stool looks at the keys beneath the organ for the feet to go on. Looks around to the other two and says, "Well, here goes nothing," and starts playing the notes on the music on the keyboard as well as they can be followed.
So the first thing that you notice, your first sort of playthrough, is a number of the keys and the number of the pipes are damaged, and it just doesn't sound right. But you are a skilled minstrel, so with the help of your colleagues, you can, if you wish, set about to sort of jury rig, make this organ able to at least play this tune, if none other.
Yeah, I would probably, working with Roger to work out which ones we definitely need, see if I can work out how to fix the bits that we need, or see if I can get an insight into how what we would need to fix and how we would go about fixing it potentially.
And if we know which bits we need, we know which bits we don't need, so we might be able to
swap out bits.
And then when it comes to any of the actual fiddling and moving things around, we would then rope in Thorsten to do the actual dexterous stuff, because
I love this montage of repairing this. We don't need his pipe. Are you sure? Yeah, let's rip this out. Let's put it back. And this once monstrous grand organ is reduced down to playing only one tune, but the important tune. It takes time. I'm not going to dock you light for this, but it's a nice montage of you working together. And ever like hideous gargoyles, these three ghoulish creatures are just intent at watching you and moving. It is unnerving knowing that any moment they could just turn and try and consume you. As you begin to play the tune correctly, with the correct instrument, with the repaired organ, the first thing that happens as the notes ring true is the three remaining members of the Red Mask sort of leap off the table, take to the centre of the room, and in some ghastly dance seem to jig and writhe as best as they can to the music being played. Maybe a hideous reflection of the convulsions they might have done in life. Of course, when you are missing body parts, it's not that easy, and various bits of them shed as this grotesque dance plays out. As you reach the crescendo, though, of this, there is without doubt an audible click, and the centre of the chamber where the red carpet ends and a new one begins to rotate, almost unscrew, as it begins to, like the way that a music box would open up, opens up an entry to even further down.
Warily approach.
You see again polished marble steps, again covered in dust, descending down into darkness.
Roger again with the great sword, the same order we've been going on.
Yep.
Me first, then Drago, then Thorsten, as we go down.
You descend down, and there is more slaughter, almost as if a fighting battle was made here. A number of dead masks, together with yet another monstrosity. This one from the chitinous bone, horrific spikes at random angles shooting out. Some large, some the size of just a needle, the others as long as a pole arm. Again, unmoving though. And then slightly ahead, another door, this time a single door, again with the embossed mask symbol upon it, but ajar. This metal door is not sealed, but daubed upon it is a sigil, a seal of sorts, unmistakable, the crimson dried blood, now not so much crimson but crusty black.
I hold way back from the sigil and look at it and go, that looks dangerous. It looks magical.
With my questionable experience of magic, do I glean anything from it? Am I sort of aware of?
You come across and you shine your light on it, and it's nothing that I believe that you have practiced, but you are most definitely aware of it. This is magic most foul, the darkest of magics, and fundamentally this sigil is a warning, a sign that any who cross this threshold will become cursed to die a most terrible death.
Right. I passed that on.
Do we believe Nabatari is the other side of this threshold?
This metal door, unlike all of the other wooden doors, seems to be the kind of construction that you would have to be a vault, a secure room.
I wonder if we can get those skeletons to come down and open the doors for us.
You know the magic is not that simple. This isn't a glyph that will just explode and cause damage. This is a curse, To any that pass the threshold, they will be cursed to die. Of course, this must have been daubed over 50 years ago. Who knows, does magic fade?
Would it have even worked?
I mean,
How many death curses do you know?
me.
There's
Yeah, that
tons.
actually works. You're a priest. You must have come across
Yeah,
curses.
there are 1001 in a certain tome. You know, there are books of seals, the number of angels and devils, and sometimes it's difficult to tell either apart. The dark magics are extensive.
Can you sense if it actually like emanates magic or?
Of course, anyone that can raise the ability to detect magic should be able to detect it. Can anybody do this?
No. Not detect magic, unfortunately.
So it's either no treasure and going back, or go through the doors, get the treasure, and maybe
Possibly.
die next week or in 5 minutes. Who knows?
Yeah.
Thorsten
One
likes
could
those
argue.
odds.
Sorry, go on.
Two people. Thorsten, yeah.
Thorsten likes those odds. He probably sees this as a way to find something of the grander past of Ibihor. Crosses the threshold.
Okay, well, it seems that you pull the door open. Nothing seems to happen. The light once again from the torch spills. There is a both glorious and terrible sight that awaits you. It's amazing how you can have both things. This was once the treasure vault of the Red Mask, and it is indeed full of treasure, coin, and items of value. But, of course, chained, hanging from multiple barbed chains attached to the roof and walls and the floor, spread-eagled but suspended, is what was once perhaps Nabitari, a beautiful woman, exotic, not anymore. Once chained, once these unholy chain webbings have confined her, it seems that she was force-fed her treasures, even after death, so that her stomach has now distended and ripped in places with the treasure in your torchlight glimmering out and scattering down onto the ground. Maybe this is the fate that awaits you.
Having already accepted that possibility, I guess.
Well, we've not crossed the threshold yet. We've only opened the door.
Yeah. Okay, Thorsten, having accepted that possibility, having crossed the threshold, more than interested in a way of perhaps cutting the body free, or what remains of the body free. Would not want her granddaughter to find her in this state if we were to introduce her to the compound now that we feel it is at least inactive, if not quite safe.
As you move forward, you wonder what had the power to do this. Not only the actual physical power, but also the strength of mind to bestow such tortures upon an individual. How badly would you or must you have been wrung to desire to do this?
And not take any of the treasure themselves.
It is difficult to say. This vault is full of coin and gems. As you approach even closer, wondering such things and looking, you begin to realize that the chains themselves begin to move. You begin to realize the chains themselves are actually part of this thing now. The chains begin to snake, and she turns and looks and laughs at you. As she laughs, coins and gems spew clattering down. I am accursed, and none shall take what is mine. Can we roll for initiatives? You are both near. You are close, so you're not a huge distance away from each other as you're watching from this threshold.
Or
Ooh.
oh, sorry, mine is 2 as well. I'm the grey one.
Okay. And we will roll this for her. You have got lucky. So I'm on a 7.
Thorsten happens to be on a 15.
That's good. So it's going to be Thorsten. Then Roger, you got how much?
2.
And Drago, you got
Also 2.
2. Okay. So Thorsten, you're going to go first. Then it's going to be this thing. Then it'll be Drago and Roger. So Thorsten, what would you like to do? Just to give you a description, this thing, all of the treasure now seems to become animate and is swirling around these chains, snaking through this sandstorm of treasure. Yeah, it's to give it. This is a vengeful spirit, a cursed spirit, kind of. The physicality of her is nothing now, as it's akin to sort of some kind of poltergeist form that is manipulating all of these incredibly sharp pieces of coin and treasure, and you are at the epicenter of it all.
Thorsten books it, decided he's overreached himself, makes for the threshold, slams the door shut, and seals it the best he can.
Okay, so you sort of leave. It's interesting because as you do that and you slam the door, you can do that. There's no attacks of opportunity, and perhaps a sensible reconsideration of how you're going to operate next. You slam the door just in time as you all hear coin after coin smash against the door. We are currently back out of initiative, as it seems that this thing is not going to pursue you or even attempt to shove open the door. But one key thing begins to trigger in your minds. The creatures above recognized you as brothers and sisters. The thing in there did not. So it is up to you. I mean, you can call it a day, and you've done as much as you can. You could leave more or less empty-handed. You've explored it. You can perhaps explain that there's a vault and something in there, or you can attempt to do something else.
I've got an idea, and it's probably terrible. But I think I'm going to try it anyway.
Okay, you have time to discuss it, or just do what you think.
Basically, I want to try and reason with her.
Okay, now I did say that she doesn't recognize you as this. Together with the accursed sigil, you think you will probably have to remove the curse that is perhaps upon her first before you can entreaty any communications. Now, this can be done by causing harm to her until that part is shedded, that vengeful side. It is unlikely that mere communications at this moment in time is going to achieve such an aim. You can, of course, remove the curse that is upon her as well, or
How would
anything in between.
turn undead go at this point, my good wizened friend?
I mean, I can try it, but I don't know. That's my only option as far as combat is concerned.
I doubt that she's undead though, because she's way more fleshier than the stuff upstairs, and this is a curse, not necessarily
But
undead thing.
she can't still be alive. On the basis of what was done to her, she can't still be alive in a conventional sense. So there's got to be an element of undeath there.
From what
And
you,
ultimately,
I was going to say, from what you viewed, it's a vengeful spirit. It's a poltergeist kind of effect. So yeah, turn undead could actually pacify it.
then I will have to give that a try. And whether range is near. I was near,
Yeah, you can open this
so
door.
I can open the door and
Not
punt a turn undead at her and hope.
There is little point in self-sacrifice at this point.
of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I will attempt to cast Turn Undead and see what happens.
Okay.
No, you will cast turn undead, close the door, and then we wait for all the noise to quiet down.
And then just
hmm.
hello.
So turn undead only functions for a small amount of time, does it not?
Its duration is instant. If so, it's a charisma check, and on a fail, the creature flees for 5 rounds. So, however long a round is, 5 of those technically.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a very small window of opportunity to put whatever plan once it is turned, if it does indeed turn.
Yeah.
You guys look for the journal. I scoop as many of the valuable things as I can.
I wonder whether we should take anything from that room.
I need my plate armor.
I know, but I feel like anything in that room is potentially cursed. So I think you do you, but I'm wary of taking anything in that room. And my thinking from what the reasoning I was going to try was basically to say that we are from her granddaughter and seek word of their fate and her journal, nothing more.
Yeah.
And get that out as quickly as possible if Turn Undead works, because it might not work.
Yep.
And then hopefully whatever is there that has any reason might offer the journal, or at least give us an indication where it is. We snatch it, and then we either try and put it out of its misery, or we just go.
So you want all 3 of us to look for the journal?
Well, I don't know. Part of me hopes that it might be offered to us with one of those delightful chain things. If you want to steal or take gold, then take gold by all means. I'm just wary because this is a vast cursed chamber, and the gold all seems to be animate and affected by whatever it is. I am. If the spell works incredibly well, it may destroy the curse element entirely, but that's no guarantee.
Yeah.
And as speaking as player, my logic there is if a creature fails the check by 10 points and is equal or less to then your level, it is destroyed. I don't think that's going to happen with this thing.
That
But
would
just
be
in
cool.
case.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay, I'm standing ready to dash in and look for a journal.
Okay.
That feels like the right way.
Now, you're out of luck points, aren't you?
Yep.
Hmm.
But I can award you luck points, and I think with what you've all done so far, it's been impressive. You've worked out a lot of things. You could have not worn those robes and been attacked by the ghouls. You worked that out. You worked out the organ. So I think you all deserve for this encounter to be rewarded with a luck point east as we go into what is undoubtedly a do or die or do or run situation. And I don't think I'm being overly generous there. I think you've worked hard for this.
Okey-dokey.
So the door is thrown open, and bizarrely, she is now back in the same position again. It is a horrifying sight. I'm not going to describe it again, for it is disgusting. You, though, Drago, cross the threshold this time. You kind of need to. Roger is ready to run in, as is Thorsten. Give me a description as you present your symbol.
So I stand, torch in one hand, kind of held high, glittering off all of the gold in the room, and my sigil or my holy symbol kind of clutched in fist and kind of just held outwards, a symbol of Ord, who is guardian of secrets and mysteries, and I kind of hold it equally high as the torch, so sort of standing there, feeling. So as soon as I stand there in a what might be a vaguely heroic pose, if I didn't clearly feel so awkward, and then I will cast the spell or attempt to cast Turn Undead.
Okay, so as far as I'm aware with this, because it's slightly different, you have to make your check first. That
Yes.
gives me a DC, which I then need to make a charisma roll against.
Yes, yeah. Whatever my spellcasting check is, that's your charisma check that you have to beat. Yes. Okay.
So I kind of like that anyway, because you could read it that your spellcasting check is 11, because that's
Yeah.
your DC, but I think it's your check rather than your DC.
Yeah, I hadn't interpreted it the way you have until you said that, but actually that's really nice because that means if I just make my spellcasting check, it's only 11. Whereas if I smash it with a natural 20, then that's even harder. So that's really cool. I like that a lot.
I think it's the way it's designed to be as well. So
yeah, no, and it definitely feels like a thing.
So yeah, make that roll.
Okay.
And before we start rolling dice, that was a luck point each. So
Yes,
there's 3 in the pool.
You've got 3 luck points basically. So there is a luck point each. I mean, I can't just choose one of you over it. You've worked together as an amazing crew and survived it. So it's been good. Okay, let's make this roll.
Right. Hold on to your what's-its.
Oh, here I have my luck point.
Well, that is a natural one.
Great song.
Now, I do allow even natural ones to be re-rolled. Luck points are a resource, but unless you want to be doing a penance as well as losing all of your spells.
No, so useful. Thank you.
It's a tough game.
Okay.
It's a tough game. It's
attempt number 2.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay.
Barely any better. Jesus.
Yeah, I have my luck point.
Okay, so that is the first luck point burnt. You can re-roll it again. Roger is kindly offering it you. Okay, now this is the interesting one. One assumes you've got a modifier to that, and it's positive. other than
Yes, it's a +2 modifier, which makes it 4. So I've added a modifier
14.
in the roll, so it's a 14 roll.
Yeah, cool. So there's a second part to this, as this creature needs to make a charisma roll.
Didn't seem very charismatic.
I mean, I did say in life she was very charismatic. I mean, she was the leader of the Thieves Guild. Not only did she look good, she was. But I mean, time has took a toll on her. You know,
Ooh, that's a statement of truth.
as it does on us all.
Yes.
But I do love in Shadowdark. I mean, like a Ghast has a +2 charisma modifier. I mean, it's very interesting. But I am going to look at the stats of a poltergeist. Not that she is a poltergeist, but it's a poltergeist effect. And I'm still getting used to the monsters in Shadowdark, so I don't even know if there is one. And if there isn't, I will have to create one. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. I go through the alphabet. I don't think there is one. Purple Worm, Parama, Priest, Pirate, Phoenix. No, that's interesting. Aha, I could create a monster. I've got this statted anyway. I'm going to make a roll. It's going to be an open roll. We will see what this roll is. You have got lucky. Even if I was to modify it, that is just a 6. It is an open roll. The level is much bigger than you need to destroy it, unfortunately. But
I thought that likelihood was significantly slim, but you never know.
so was it 5 turns or is it randomized?
No, it's
5.
5. It flees from you for 5 rounds.
Okay, so that doesn't happen. What happens instead is you kind of stand forward and you present your symbol as you beautifully described, and the vengeful side of this spirit is subdued, is in effect turned for a small window of opportunity. The chains just clatter to the ground, still hooked and binded into her skin. The coins rain down upon you, scattering around. But her spirit, freed from the curse temporarily, can now be communicated with, and this other form, this ghostly form of sort of greenish light, not particularly good in life, so no redeemed spirit, but certainly one that is not accursed. She says, brothers, sisters of the mask, you have freed me for now. I sense time is limited. You perhaps have come to find out how to truly free me.
If you know how, we would certainly try if it can be done quickly.
We have word of your granddaughter who seeks knowledge of you and your fate.
My
If
granddaughter.
you're...
I had no granddaughter. I have no granddaughter.
Time has passed, and you are succeeded, or could be. We were sent seeking your journal and word of your and your people's fate. If there's anything we can do to ease your passing, we will. But we will also ask if you can point us to a journal we could take back with us or other word.
She indicates to a sort of pile of coin.
I run over and start looking immediately.
She says, take the journal. Nothing else, for it carries the curse. The curse must be removed before anything leaves this chamber. It has no value of sorts. The journal should be safe to remove. The masks struck against did their most audacious theft against Thut Memu, the Tallow Man. Destroy the Tallow Man, and I will be freed, and the red masks can rise again. You are all aware of Thut Memu, the Tallow Man, a black-hearted mage who operates from the prized and shining districts that surround the palaces of the Priest King himself. Long-lived, very long-lived. You see that the curse, the vengeful side, beginning to consume her again as the treasure begins to tremble and move towards her.
Do I find the journal in this
You do.
place where she...
Indeed.
I run out of the room again, taking nothing else. Cursing all the while I do it, though.
How many suits of plate is these coins here? The rest of you, what do? You have scant moments, maybe a final question or two.
Does the Tallow Man have any weak points you know of?
Yes, he does. He does indeed. His weakness, his greatest weakness is as the curse
Of course.
and the coins rattle. You flee from this chamber and slam the door shut.
Roger says, typical.
Timing is everything.
Yeah.
But of
But it's
course,
an answer.
this is something that you can do.
Mm.
We are running late, although I am very much enjoying this session. One assumes now that you have everything that you've been sent for, you rapidly make it out of this complex. There is nothing that sort of troubles you. You see the ghastly creatures above these ghouls, but they seem not to trouble you whilst you are masked and robed. You head out using the lever, stepping into the chamber. There is the slow grinding of stone, so you can pull the lever down. It doesn't sort of really rapidly. You step into the chamber and it just moves round so that you can leave once again. Up the stairs, the statue, once again you see there's a lever to get out, and very rapidly you have covered the tunnels of the spider and they haven't burrowed out as yet, so you can clamber up and make your escape, waiting for... Yep, sorry?
Sorry, I would just say on the route out, not vitally urgent or vitally important, but if possible, what I'd like to try and do is if there's in like amongst the bodies in the sort of the main chamber or again in that guard room, if there is a dagger that, I mean, it will be aged and all the rest of it, but if there is a dagger that is in one piece and looks relatively serviceable or might be, you know, salvageable and reforgeable, I would like to take that for what's her name? Vigita?
Yes, the granddaughter.
Vigita. Yeah, just as a token as much as anything. So if there's one that's, yeah, it doesn't need to be sharp or anything, but something that it might be like a, I don't know if they have, you know, their emblem on the handle or anything like that, but it's just a
like a fountain pen, but yeah, for a thieves guild.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Very nice. I like that. You clamber up and they are waiting sort of patiently for you. There is no double crossing here. It seems they were genuine in their intentions. One assumes that you hand the items across, and do you tell them about the curse, about this Thut Memu and the Tallow Man?
Definitely, because otherwise they'll be in danger if they go down.
Yeah, I think
Sensitively.
fair to warn her that it is not a nice place to visit at this time, and you might want to bring more power that you're going to bring by being able to declare yourself the granddaughter of. The manpower required to reinvigorate this place will not be insignificant, and the time and cost. So,
And would warn of the weird otherworldly creatures, but also the fact that at least some of the red masks are ghoulish, and the fact that wearing the kit seemed to help.
yep.
Okay.
And probably pledge my service to aid in any way I can, having been an ex-Thieves Guild member. This is a return to a better time for the thieves of Ihor. I'll get used to saying that eventually.
I'm not sure I will, but we'll try our best.
I'll say, as since we did the escape thing together, I think such peril will make sure that you're fast friends. That we'll of course help Thorsten if he requires us to help him.
Yeah, very much so. Would throw in
Especially
my hat
since I think that because of all the gold once the curse disappeared, I think our share of that would be quite significant. At least I hope they will reward us that way.
Some pay at least, I think.
So the way this plays out, whilst you have left the Shadowdark empty-handed once again, or not empty-handed, but everything that you have found you have gifted away instead. There is the small gem that you found, Roja. You are indeed warded with a boon from Vegeta, who says your services here will certainly not go unnoted. You may call upon the masks at any time once we become established. There is much to do here, but this boon is enough to, well, level you up as you now strive to level 2. She does say, as you begin to leave, one more thing. We should talk about this Tallow Man, and that is where we will leave it to next session.
Nice.
Thank you very much, everybody. Sorry we overrun a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed it. It was, I don't know, there's something about this system that I really like. It just, it doesn't feel like you have failed just leaving that chamber without any coins. It feels very much like you've succeeded. You've done everything that you needed to do. You've escaped with your very lives. You've made allegiances. The chamber is still there to be claimed. Your torch goes out again. So no, I just there's something about it that I genuinely are really impressed with. I mean, it might be my absolutely incredible skill as a GM that has made me love it so much, or perhaps your skills as a player. But no, I think it's actually the system itself. It just seems to be so accessible to telling a great story. That's my thoughts on it. I would love to hear your quick thoughts before we say goodnight to anybody. Who wants to go first rather than me having to choose a favourite? Raise thy hand. Anybody? Yeah, okay, I'm going to say Natasha. She beat you just, Matt.
I really like this, even though it's a bit longer than we ran the last time. Part of that is because it's so much fun, you forget the time. And once more, every decision you make has far more weight, as Andy has pointed out as well, in Shadowdark than it has in Dungeons and Dragons, which I like a lot. And also, Roger got to do a nice nearly dead scene. So
Yeah,
sure.
that was. I love the way that both Matt and Malcolm both went right at the very start. As soon as I said, I know this. Yeah, I know it as well. And then you kind of went through, and then you went, "Are you sure you know this?" Yeah, we know it. Okay, I'll do it. And then I said no. I mean,
Yeah, it was really funny.
it was just great. It was fantastic. Excellent. Matt, you had your hand up next.
I think it's great fun. And I think it's the freeing nature of it because everything is possible. And a lot of tabletop games, use that same philosophy, and certainly a lot of the games that I play in the GM is very much kind of, if you can justify it, then you can do it in whatever way you think. And I think that's kind of one of the main premises of this as a system, and I think that's one of the why it's so nice and so freeing. And it's nice to have moments that you don't have to rely on a certain substrata of things that then have sub skills below them. You can just go, well, I want to do this. This feels like the right way to check it, so let's do that. And it feels like everybody working together to tell stories, and it's fun. So.
If I can interject again, one thing that I've noticed the past session and this one is how incredibly difficult spell casting is compared to, for example, melee attacks. I think there's a bit of a discrepancy there. I feel very bad for Matt that so far his cleric has used so many luck points.
Yeah, I just think your rolls have just been terrible, really.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So like from the one hand we have sympathy because of the complexity of the system, and then from the GM we have accusation of how terrible I am. Fine, great.
No. I mean, you can read it as that. I said your rolls are terrible. I mean, if you have some way of like making those rolls actually come up with those results, then yes, it's your fault.
Cool. Okay.
But
just roll better next time.
I mean, you're looking at 11s on a D20 with a modifier of plus +2.
+2 for my spellcasting.
So you're looking for a 9 for first level spells, which is, I mean, it's 50-50. So technically you are subpar with your probabilities at the moment. But it makes it exciting every time. You just go, am I going to do this? And but the balance to that is certainly with the rerolls of the luck points. Kind of, well, we really need this to happen, so we're going to have to spend them for that instead. I think the other thing is, and why it seems to be more apparent, and I know I'm eating up more time, is it's much easier to avoid combat than it is like, oh, we really need to cast this spell now. I really need to cue you. So you have to do that action. Whereas before, I mean, you ran away, which is perfectly a great strategy, rather than go, well, we're going to try and fight it and use our luck points to hit it. You can avoid combat more easily than not being able to cast a spell. So I think that is a thing there. But I think poor Matt has been very unlucky with your rolls. But you have been a magnificent player and not got salty about it or anything. You've just accepted it for the fun that it is. And it's nice to have that positive vibe at the table, even when dice rolls are not particularly going your way. So thank you very much for being at my table and being a positive influence. I really appreciate it. It makes just the table feel so much better that we can enjoy people's failures as well as their successes. Malcolm, please, any thoughts?
The amount of tension in the unknown. I think we've said this about Shadowdark a few different ways now. The fact that we know we're kind of on edge all the way. Have we made the right choice? What's the impact of getting it wrong? Great storyline. Great that we caught the things like, let's dress as members of the Mask. Even if we had it for the wrong intention in the first place,
absolutely.
It so well for us. Great session. I think Thorsten has no qualms about there being no monetary reward for him this adventure, and he's starting to feel a bit of an attachment to, or better attachment to the city, and feeling more positive about it. I've got a feeling he was around for a long time, but fell out with the Thieves Guild he was in.
Yeah.
This feels like a real start of a story for him.
Excellent stuff.
So thank you.
And I got to scare you all with a monstrous organ that was just a monstrous organ. Next time I mention one, who knows what it will be. So I think without further ado, I love to have these conversations with you. Maybe we should think about doing something separate to this, but it's fascinating to get your feedback, and once again I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to people that are watching it. This hasn't been live, but you're watching it hopefully on YouTube. If you have enjoyed it, please give us a like and a subscribe. It really helps us out. And thank you very much to our fantastic players, because without our cast, I wouldn't get to try and help tell these stories along with them. So really appreciate it, and hopefully you're going to be free for the next episode too. So without further ado, it's a goodbye from me and a good night from me, and please say your goodbyes too till we next meet.
Till next time.
And don't forget,
Night all.
adventurers, keep those torches lit.
Goodbye.
Bye for now.
Bye bye.